It started with the flickering of my laptop screen at 2:37 a.m. The moment when curiosity and desperation collided into one catastrophic decision. A moment that led me to the bowels of the internet, the place they call the dark web, where whispers become blood-soaked screams and every click can seal your fate. I have been looking for proof of something that most people believe is just an urban legend. Red rooms. Those pay-to-watch live-stream torture chambers where nameless victims are mutilated. For anonymous audiences willing to spend obscene amounts of cryptocurrency. But I didn't expect to find an active one, nor did I expect the viewer registration required pop-up to let me in without payment. The moment I clicked Join Session, the camera feed appeared, showing a dimly lit concrete room with rusty chains dangling from the ceiling and a table covered in tools that didn't belong in any normal workshop. Pliers, scalpels, a blowtorch, even something that looked like a dentist's. Drill, while in the center, a chair was bolted to the floor, its leather straps stained a sickly brown. The live chat was a blur of usernames throwing in Bitcoin addresses and sadistic requests, but my pulse spiked when I realized there was a mirror behind the chair, and in its reflection, I could see a doorway. Meaning this wasn't some fake video loop like most Red Room rumors, this was real, unfolding in real time. Then the host walked in, wearing a black tactical mask and gloves, holding a phone in one hand and a long blade in the other. But instead of dragging in a victim, he stared directly into the camera and said, "Tonight's entertainment will be interactive," before disappearing from the frame. Seconds later, my own webcam light turned on without my permission, and my screen glitched to show my own terrified face. He was watching me. He knew who I was, and before I could slam the laptop shut, a distorted voice came through my speakers. "You like to watch, but tonight they'll watch you." And the feed switched to a grainy handheld camera moving through dark hallways, stopping in front of a door that looked terrifyingly similar to my own apartment entrance. My breath froze, every nerve screaming to run, but before I could even grab my phone to call for help, the knock came, 3 slow taps, heavy, deliberate. I backed away, heart pounding, until I realized the camera feed had switched back to the Red Room. Only now the chair was empty, the leather straps flapping. Slightly as if someone had just escaped or been untied. And that's when my apartment door splintered open. 2 figures in black rushed in, masks reflecting the dim light from my TV, and I barely had time to duck as one swung a blunt metal pipe at where my head had been seconds earlier. Adrenaline drowned out my fear as I grabbed the nearest thing I could, an old floor lamp, and swung wildly, catching one of them in the side. They stumbled, giving me just enough time to bolt for the hallway. Barefoot and shaking, every footstep echoing in my skull. I didn't stop running until I hit the stairwell, practically leaping down the steps 2 at a time, but the sound of boots behind me told me they weren't far. I shoved open the emergency exit, the freezing night air slapping my face, and ran into the street, praying for a car, a person, anyone, but the street was empty, silent except for the slap of my own footsteps. I ducked into an alley, crouching behind a dumpster, my hands trembling, as I pulled out my phone, but there was no signal, no Wi-Fi, nothing, as if the world outside had been cut off. Then I heard it, the metallic scrape of a blade along brick, and one of them stepped into view, slow, methodical, like a predator savoring the hunt. I backed away until my fingers brushed against a loose pipe, gripped it, and when he lunged, I swung as hard as I could, the impact ringing through my bones. He crumpled, mask askew, and I caught a glimpse of his face. He was young, maybe 19, eyes wide like he wasn't sure how he'd ended up here either. I didn't have time to process it because the second one's shadow fell over me, and I darted past, sprinting until my lungs burned, until the neon glow of an all-night gas station appeared ahead like a lighthouse in a storm. I burst through the door, shouting for the clerk to call the police, but when I turned to point toward the alley, they were gone, vanished like smoke. The police searched my apartment, my laptop, everything, but found no signs of forced entry, no camera feed, no evidence I'd ever been on the dark web at all. For weeks, I jumped at every knock, every shadow, certain they'd come back, until one night, as I tried to fall asleep, my laptop screen lit up by itself, showing a single message in red letters. "You ran well, let's see if you can do it again." And that's when I realized the worst part wasn't that I'd escaped the Red Room. It was knowing the game had just begun.